Boom.
Hello, Steven. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
It's Thankful Thriving Thursday today.
Beautiful, and I love that. You see, Steven, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things, and I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So, firstly, my man, I want to say thank you so very much for investing in yourself. You see, Steven, you are on this platform right now because you did invest it in yourself. And oftentimes, my man, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. Let's say some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, Stephen, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I used the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, Stephen, just recently, I was on that same road, and this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree, you see. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance, and immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did, and it wowed me because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches. And not just mangoes now, Stephen. I'm talking about ripe mangoes. It was such a lovely experience that day. And I was so, so excited. Here is my point. The fact that
Well,
you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Stephen that you are today, that alone has made it impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you got the
thank
request
you.
from me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're
Can
doing,
I
your
can I show
philosophies, your insight.
what I did before?
Yeah.
What I learned through getting educated from multiple things. Ernest Holmes, The Science of Mind, Wayne Dyer, Emmett Fox, Bob Proctor. I learned the truth of who we all are as humans, that we're all spiritual beings having a human experience. And that's why I wrote this book, Your True Human Power. Master the Golden Zone, how to access the infinite possibility of the divine source within you. This book will help educate anybody who reads the book, just
Amazing.
because learning the truth, and then you can create, you're a co-creator with the divine source. You can create your own realities in your life. And one of the famous quotes from Ernest Holmes is, thoughts are things. And another one that is very famous is, what you think about is what you bring about into your life.
Hmm. What you think about is what you bring about into your life. I got that. I got that. So let's just get right into it. So, I am quite excited to have you on the show today, Stephen, for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Stephen, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information, and not just knowledge alone, but the application of it. And you see, my man, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason I'm excited to have the incredible Stephen on the show is for the sake of the audience. My man, yeah, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, Stephen, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So, for that reason, my man, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey, because right now we are so curious. We want to know how Stephen got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Stephen, my man, over to you.
Well, thank you. And as going through life back in like 2007, 2006 or 2007, I went and saw Wayne Dyer at this event. And he said, everything is energy. I was like, what? And he said, if you take the seed of an apple and you put it under a microscope and you magnify it by 10,000, what do you see? You see the atoms of the seed. And if you magnify it again by another 10,000, what do you see? You see the nucleus and the quarks of the atoms. Everything is energy. And that really shifted me into walking into the spiritual realm of understanding. And then I got involved with the Ernest Holmes Institute of Religious Science of Mind. And I learned so much from going through that, and it shifted my life. And now that I've gotten to this point that I've got my ministerial license 2.5 years ago, and I then, after that, I achieved and received my doctorate of divinity degree. And I help a lot of people all the time who have, if they're having negative thoughts, that's what they're attracting into their lives. And I talk to them about shifting what they're thinking about and what they're feeling. And one of the most powerful, impactful things is self love. And I learned another thing, which was really fantastic. In the morning when you get up and it's quiet, no distribution, no noise, you sit down and you close your eyes, you take in a deep breath into your nose and you blow out like you're blowing out of a straw. You do that 6 times and it's already shifting. And you can listen to the inner voice if you have questions. That's the divine source talking to you. And the divine source I call God. And then I tell people, do this. Tap on your forehead and tap on your heart because you're creating coherence from your mind to your heart. And you say, I am grateful and happy. I am grateful and happy. And having the state of gratitude will shift the entire day, getting into a gratitude state of mind. And then the self love after that, I tell them, get up and go look in the mirror and you look yourself in the eye and you say, I love me. I love me. I love me. And that was a proven thing because our bodies have 70 to 80% of fluid. And there was this guy in Japan, Dr. Emoto. He took a petri dish of water and put some water in it and put it in the freezer. And before he did that, he said, love, love, I love, 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 love you. Put it in the freezer. And then he took another petri dish and put some water in it and said a lot of negative things, hate, negative, all that, put it in the freezer. And then pulled the first one out and took some of that ice out and put it under a microscope. And it looked like diamonds, molecular structure, changes of the fluids. And then he pulled the second one out, put that under the microscope, and it looked like charcoal. It was chaotic. And so when you do that, most people that I've taught that tell me after they do that, they feel vibration of shifting in their entire body. I do too, because I do it every morning because I do love me. And that just shifted my entire life. Now I just know when I'm around people, they feel the vibration of me, of pure love, joy, and happiness. That is all that I think about. That's all I feel. And that's what I'm vibrating out into the universal laws. And I'm attracting just wonderful things into my life. And all the negative stuff, there was some negative things that happened in my life. And I learned from Louise Hayes. She was a publisher called Hay House. And I met her back in 2011. She taught something about if you have negative thoughts, you say to yourself, the negative thought, whatever it is, and you say, I release it and now I'm free. And that goes away out of your consciousness and out of your subconscious mind. Because your subconscious mind is like the supercomputer of your body. Your subconscious mind is connected to the universal mind. And what I've
Mm,
shared with people, when you're a child, your subconscious mind is getting programmed if you're parents or family, friends are talking about family, grandparents, their parents, great grandparents, or whatever maybe had health issues, heart problems, mental problems, whatever, cancer, whatever. And that's programmed into their subconscious mind. And they never know that that will impact them later in their lives because the subconscious mind has that programming in there. And that's why it's really smart and learning to shift your conscious mind because you're feeding into your subconscious mind.
Hmm. Amazing. I got that. So, um, I'm curious about this and I thought to ask you. So, what is the 1 minute miracle? Can you talk to us about that?
Miracles, you
Yeah.
sit quietly in like a meditation and you say in your inner voice, you say, God, bring forth the miracle of abundance, or bring forth the miracle of a loving relationship, bring forth the miracle of joy, happiness, love. That in itself creates the shift. And miracles are actually created by the divine source. But when you shift and you're talking with the divine source, God, that will shift things in your life.
Hmm. Very, very true. And I can relate to that. I tell you. Okay, so let's get back to your book. What inspired you to write that wonderful book?
With getting my doctorate of divinity degree, I had a draft of the book, and that's how I was honored by getting my doctorate of divinity degree. And then I took even more as I would meditate and I would ask for help and assistance of learning or of being able to produce more content to help humanity. And that's what happened. So, like, the first chapter is the foundation of everything that starts. And that really is about world religions, history of world religions, new thought philosophy, and now what science calls the quantum field. And I talk about when I got my ministerial license, I had to study all the world religions. And being in a spiritual realm is not telling somebody to leave a religion. It's just about learning how to control your mind, your feelings. And because Jesus even said that the Father and I are one and the kingdom of heaven is within, which was really a wonderful. And then I learned too, like most all religions before they became a religion, they were spiritual foundations like Buddhism, Hinduism, shamanism, Confucianism, even Judaism. And that's what Jesus was born into was he was a Jewish, but that was really a spiritual foundation of that understanding. And then when they crucified Jesus when he was 33 years old, and I did a lot of research on that, and then I found out that they were in fear of him because he knew the power and the presence was in him. He could make the blind people see. He could make the crippled people walk. He could walk on water. He brought Lazarus back from the dead. And the Roman Empire and King James were in fear of him. And that's why they crucified him. And then they created Christianity. And they claim they used his 12 apostles, but they didn't. Because I did a lot more research and there was a lot of stuff that was added into some of the Christianity that was just about being judgmental and almost in a political status. But I was born and raised in Christianity and in baptism. And just later in life, getting into just the spiritual realm is much better. And these chapters all go through about educating about the world religions. And then the second chapter is about understanding the presence of the one spirit is knowing that God, the divine source, is within each and every one of us. And then, as I talked about earlier, about the inner voice, mastering the inner voice is sitting down in a quiet, no distribution or no, not distribution, no noise and stuff. And you can have conversation with the divine source. That's your inner voice. And then I talked about tapping, doing that. And that's coherence of your heart and mind. When you're thinking, you're changing your vibrations. And then the golden ritual, because I was born into the golden name. And that is just really wonderful. And unchaining yourself from negativity, anxiety, that type of thing. And then your inner vision, your mind's eye. If you close your eyes and you can visualize certain things, that will appear in your life. And then just radiating self love. I already talked about that of being, telling yourself, I love me. I love me. And then all of these things, these chapters then begin to teach or show you how to create your reality in your own life. And then there's the thing about affirmations and manifestations that attract things into your life. And that's what you're thinking about is what you bring about. And then the last chapter is really the golden key. And this was initiated by a guy named Emmett Fox back in the late 1800s. He was born in Ireland and then he came to New York in the early 1900s. And he was part of the spiritual New Thought philosophy. And he talked about say this, or God is that. And if you're doing the golden key, it could be about health, it could be about wealth, it could be about a quarrel, it could be about an accident, it could be any conceivable items. And it is that God is the infinite power and presence everywhere, knows everything. There's no other power but God. We are all children of God, filled and surrounded by the perfect peace and love of God is guiding us and God is with us. And so it is. Amen. So, and that was the book. And then I did want to share again a really wonderful friend of mine, Robert G. Allen, is a number one New York bestselling author. I met him. I let him read my draft of my book, and we got on this Zoom, and he said, "This is one of the most impactful, impressive books I've ever read in my life. I want to write the foreword for you to let people know." And he's written multiple books, and he has helped so many people about nothing down. It was about buying real estate, multiple streams of income, just so many books. And he wrote the foreword of this book, which is just amazing.
And that sounds like a very important book, and all of the chapters, the titles are amazing. So, to bring this to an end, Steven, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those folks who like to reach out to you, make a purchase of your book, or even ask you questions, how can that be possible?
Yeah. And I'm about to begin a spiritual education program just to help people learn this too. And that's going to be happening probably within the next few months. And we have a website that's myhumanpower.com, and we'll be adding the educational program to that too. Right now on that website, it's about the book and also an ebook that we did that my marketing strategy company that is so fantastic. This ebook called Your Human Power Playbook is on there. And then there's a little thing about me, kind of like a bio about me. So and we'll be adding the educational program to that too.
Beautiful. So, what would you like to leave the audience with?
I'd like to just share everybody, once you learn the truth of who you are, you can create your own reality in your life. I have helped older people who had
Once you learn the
health
truth of who
issues,
you are, you
and
can create your own reality.
so many of them have reached back out to me and told me how wonderful their life is now. And it's
Amazing.
just amazing teaching people to shift their thoughts and their feelings and emotions changes their lives. And I have so many people who have proven that to me because I've showed them what to do.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's really great. You learn about those important stuffs and sharing them out with the world. It's amazing. So that's gonna be the end of the show, Stephen. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing this wonderful stuffs with us. It means a whole lot. Truly appreciate you, man. Thank you.
I really appreciate you too. This was really good. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening.